Honesty. I think that's lacking. I really do.
Can you repeat the question?
All right, many residents want you to try to bring the village together. Do you agree with this goal? And if so, what actions do you plan to take as a member of the Board of Trustees to accomplish this?
I agree with the goal, and the way to bring the community together is with the common areas that we have in the village. We have beaches, we have parks, people meet up there, that's where you see them with their children, that's where you see them walking their dog, that's when they meet their neighbor, that's when they meet the new person that moved in. And as those areas improve and people can be in them, that's where they get to come together and become friends.
Gary?
I believe what Mayor Parrish just said, it's a hand-to-hand thing. We have two new people on the block, we're down the block, lend the guy his tools, speak to the wife, you become a neighbor. Neighbor, you listen, you got communication. It's not just select few. I go with Sandy on this, honesty, sincerity, okay? We have, and I said this the first time I ran, 350 homes in Poquott, and it's the same 100 people who are involved. And some way, somehow, we have to reach out to the other 150 houses. Maybe we're not gonna get response from some of them, maybe they're part-time in the village, some of them don't live in the village, some are for sale. But I think we could use a bigger base, would be nice, and a more even playing field. I think that would be the right, that would be a start. That's what I wanted to do last year. That was one of the platforms I ran.
The next few questions could go to everybody, but I just picked two trustees for each of these just to even it out so that we're not all doing all the same questions and we get a chance to get through some of the others. So this question I'm going to ask Gary and Mike to respond to. So the question is, what is your opinion on using bonds to meet non-essential village expenses? Due to state limits on increasing taxes, the village is limited in its ability to increase taxes to pay for new projects such as the village dock that we were talking about, or to cover ongoing expenses that seem to cost more than is available through tax revenue. Would you try to use a bond, i.e. borrow money, to pay for non-essential village expenses? Mike, you want to kick us off?
Would we try? Well, I wouldn't try to, no. Bonds are something that you would use for a large project that has a longing positive aspect. It wouldn't be for trees, brushes, or anything like that. If, in case there might need to be a new road or something like that, and it can't be gotten anyplace else, I would consider it. I would look at it, analyze it, and take it from there. Bonds aren't that would be my last place to go.
Great. Gary?
Here's my position. I want a dock. Not everybody wants a dock. Get a referendum for the dock. We have it already. I'd like to get it by donated money. Donated resolution by, what's the word, Lee?
Dedication, but that's only part.
Donation by dedication. All right, that's part of the answer. As far as the bond, today, the way money is in business, that money is so cheap it could, it's not my favorite thing. It's a last resort for me. We have a sinkhole that's part of Chestnut or one of the streets collapsed. We need the money. We can't go into contingency to get it. We take a bond out to pay for somebody's street and not open, I don't want to open a can of worms here. I'm talking catastrophic. Something catastrophic was to happen and we didn't have it. I would consider it.
But not for non-essential.
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next question I'm going to ask Joan and Sandy to respond to. And this question is, would you consider changing the ethics code for the village to a code of conduct for the behavior of elected officials, especially in how they interact in their official capacity with village citizens? Sandy, you want to kick us
I
off?
would have to review it before I made a decision on that, definitely.
Could you repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
I said I would have to review what's there before I made a decision on it.
Joan, do you want
I have not read the code of ethics in 2 years, so, because it's in the office. So I'd have to read the code of ethics before I could answer that.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the next one, also is for, Mike and Gary. And the question is, non-native invasive plants are threatening our parks. Here in Suffolk County, bamboo is now controlled, and if it is on your property, you must prevent it from spreading. Two important plant invaders are common in our village and cause great harm: Japanese knotweed and English ivy. Both species choke out native plants, and ivy climbs the trees and makes them more vulnerable in windstorms. Would you consider regulations in the village that require removal of these and other invasive plants in our parks? And then what about requiring that homeowners prevent these invasive plants from encroaching on neighbors' property?
I'll take this. I'm not an arborist. I bring an arborist in, but I do know this. I know that the Boston pine, through a neighbor, a new neighbor of mine, told me, Gary, get it off the tree because it'll wreck the tree. So it's a common sense move. You can do that on your own. You don't need an arborist. However, on the other stuff, I bring in an arborist. As far as regulations, I'm done with regulations. This village is 950 people. We don't have ISIS coming down our back. We don't have the North Korea pointing. We don't have the China building 9 islands off our property here. We're not sitting on the nuclear codes. I'm gonna say that again from last year. Enough with the regulations. You wanna react to something that goes wrong, you do, but you gotta use common sense, and it's not always in regulations.
In our parks, for sure, we should remove those and get rid of them because they are noxious and they do cause great harm, okay? Those two particular plants, I'd have to study a little bit more about whether those, we would require it. But I know many governments in Long Island have banned the bamboo. The bamboo goes into the sewers, it goes into the roofs, goes into your foundation of the house. And if that spreads to your neighbor, well, then there should be something saying that it should not be going into your neighbor's yard, because it can cause great damage and cause a lot of people a lot of money.
Great, thank you. All right, so this next question is again one that is for all the candidates. What are you personally willing to do or say to assure residents that you will keep this campaign clean, positive, and about the betterment of Poquott, rather than resorting to personal attacks and childish antics? And I won't give you the examples. What actions will you take? And here's actually the critical second part of this question. What actions will you take to keep your enthusiastic supporters from giving you a bad name by stooping to such behavior? I'm going to start at this end, Gary.
Not really, but okay, I'll take it. Handcuffs. Listen, there's a lot of passion in this room. All right, a lot of this room is divided now. If there was anything I could do to patch it up and reach out and make good, your words gotta be good. I know I'm a little hot-headed sometimes. And I know some other people in the room are hot-headed, but that's all part of the passion. We all want the same thing. I think we all want the same thing. We live in this small, tiny village, 950 people. And I know, can we all get along? No, not everybody's gonna get along. But we should be able to sit down at the table and be reasonable and maybe bite our tongues once in a while. A lot of people have felt that the village has been divided by section. I mean, I see the old section of Poquott, then I see where I'm at on the other side. It looks like, the 1950s part of, and then I see the new 1980s, 90s section. And that divide just kills me. I mean, again, it goes back to getting more people involved where we can, those 150 voting houses or people, just to get an ear out, just to get in here so people will listen. And I'll try to hold my tongue when I'm not attacked. But if I get attacked, I counterpunch, all right? So I don't wanna go down that road. I just,
Okay, great, thank you. Dee?
I don't think there's any reason to have a negative campaign. There's a difference between having a negative campaign, though, and pointing out the facts.
And I stay with the honesty and sincerity again, because you can't be making up stories about other trustees, mayors, etc. It's not necessary. We are one village, and that's that.
Well, I believe, I agree with Gary in many ways. I think most of us are here for the same reason, and we do have the same goals. Many people have different ways of expressing themselves and making their point. And most of those are all valid. But we need to have respect and communication in order to start the healing. So we need to talk about the issues. We need to listen and hear and talk. And then we can start. It should never be personal, because this is the government. It should not be a personal thing, okay? There is a difference between right and wrong, like Dee said, okay? And that you can have disagreements on and right and wrong, but you don't go after the individuals or persons. And that's, thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Well, I believe in not reacting when you're attacked. And I've done that many times. If someone wants to attack me, then they can do that, but I will not stoop to that level to respond. So that's always been my way of handling things. Unlike Gary, who believes you do respond.
well, I think of the French during the late 30s.
All right.
I'm
So
not
again,
responding.
the question is, what are you personally willing to do or say to assure residents you're going to keep the campaign clean, positive, and about the betterment of Poquott? And, what actions will you take to keep your enthusiastic supporters from doing you a bad name? So,
I don't think any of our supporters would ever do anything that would.
okay, thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Barbara?
For me, the campaign is all about issues. I'm just gonna stick to the issues. That's about it. I myself hope and believe that most of my supporters will not go the other way, be offensive or anything. And if I found out one of them did, I guess what I basically would do is say, that's not the campaign I'm running. That's not the person I am. And have them rethink and reconsider their way of doing things. It's not mine.
All right, and now we have some questions that are specific to the mayor roles, and again, have to do with actions that have or haven't been taken and what might happen in the future. So, Mayor Parrish, why do you think that a decision to give a village park a makeover is something that need not be brought to the attention of the residents first, to see if there was even any interest in changing the park? By definition, a makeover excludes routine maintenance or exigent circumstances. So why a makeover?
Well, first of all, the park needed a major overhaul. It hadn't been updated in at least 10 years. Someone who uses the park daily, I was the only one in the park, me and my dogs, almost every day. I saw the same 2 or 3 people that were in there. That was one of the reasons I actually did run to be mayor, was because of Trustees Park. When my kids were young, I spent every single night in that park. And as the years went on, I started noticing that it was getting overgrown, that it wasn't being kept up. And the minute that I did get elected, that was one of the projects that I began to work on. When the storm came in August of last year, it got spun up quite quickly because most of the trees fell and they had to be removed. The entrance to the park was blocked. We had volunteers come in, and that was actually some high school kids that helped with that. They removed the trees to get the village entranceway free. We had a lot of dead trees in there. We had companies come in and trim the trees, and this was a great opportunity to finally redo the park. That last year, we redid Van Brunt Manor Beach, and that was only a 2-day project, and it was done. This was now time to do Trustees Park. We talked about it at meetings, working meetings. We talked about it at, we had comments from residents about it. We actually put money in the budget just to redo Trustees Park for this year. We took all the money from all the other parks and put it into Trustees Park so that we could bring it back up to what I remember it being 15 years ago when I moved here. So we began that project, and that's how it came about. It was not, there seems to be this feeling that Poquott Cleanup Day was the makeover day. It wasn't. There were many people involved in this project. We had the Commissioner of Roads involved. We had the Environmental Commissioner. We had the Commissioner of the Park. We had the Gardens Commissioner involved. We had residents who made suggestions that they wanted in there. So I think that it was maybe not,
2 minutes, please.
oh, am I
I'm
at 2
sorry.
minutes?
Yeah.
I feel that the park needed to make over. The makeover is complete, and I don't know if anything's been up there, but in the last few weeks that I've been in the park, every night there's more and more people in there.
Warm weather.
So, there's a couple follow-up